So I think my favorite part about what I do is I have the ability to read for somebody from a completely unbiased perspective. And I give them the viewpoint that they did not even know was there. I think sometimes we tend to get so dead set on sort of your point, getting your point across, or being right, or what you think someone's problem is with you, or what you whatever you've told yourself, whatever storyline you've told yourself as to why this person is wrong, or why you're right, or what they did. So then subconsciously we tend to put in our brains, like, if this person lied once, they're always a liar, which that's usually true, but just for example, right? Or if they didn't communicate with me in this way, I assume ill intent, instead of saying, wow, maybe they're just an avoidant. Or, I mean, it's still not a good thing, but it's important to see it from a different point of view. Or maybe they didn't communicate with me because I'm not easy to communicate with. Maybe they lied to me because every time they've told the truth, they get bullied, but I'm still getting bullied and being accused of being a liar, even though, you know, whatever the case may be. People tend to put this storyline in their heads once something goes wrong in a connection. So by the time they get to me and they think, oh, she's going to tell the truth, great. They are so sure that their truth is the truth. They're seeing it from their perspective, right? And I have this sort of ability to see it for what it truly is. I'm really in a season of life of there's really no such thing as bad or good as far as our personality types and our connections and the role we play in each dynamic, because there's so many gray areas and what caused us to be that way and what miscommunication we had and so forth, right? Because it's so easy to blame somebody for having ill intention when they're really just maybe dodging themselves, or this is a trigger point for them, or they don't know how to communicate, or no one ever taught them how to communicate properly, or they did know how to communicate properly, but everyone who they've spoken with accuses them or blames them or blame shifts, or they're maybe coming from a lifetime of narcissistic abuse, or they in fact are a narcissist, or they think they're a narcissist because they've been raised by a narcissist, or whatever the case may be. So by the time they get to me, they're expecting me to validate their truth. But there's always three sides to each story, which is like your side, their side, and then the truth. Because even in these connections, I can even see what exactly it is that I'm looking at. It's very interesting. So not only do I have the ability to have pattern recognition that just comes from years of trauma, years of being an empath, years of being autistic, years of dealing with shit and reading people down, and I have pattern recognition. So this person does this, this usually means this. I never try to assume, but that's typically what that's going to lead to, or they do this, so that usually indicates this. So I have that going. Then I have the psychic ability, right? So I can actually see what the fuck's going on. I also have the ability to read cards very well. I also have the ability to really read your mind. I can kind of hear what you're saying as you're saying it, and I can kind of see what stage of life you're in. I don't know how to quite explain that. It's one of my gifts that I'm still sort of trying to decipher what exactly it is, but I can see not only your higher self, but your inner child, and I can see your current self, and I can tell you that how I present the information is very important, because that's how you need to hear it to get it across. Some people, I literally will hold their hand and speak to them sweetly and reiterate everything is what I'm, right? Some people I actually have to cuss out. I mean, I'm not playing. It makes me feel very uncomfortable sometimes, but they need tough love. They need that. They need to hear it that way. Some people I just know that no matter what I say, they're not going to hear it because they're too big in their ego right now. And some people I can say, if I say it this way, in this tone, and I use example A, B, and C, whatever spirit shows me. I mean, my words and hands and ways of expressing are very spirit-led. It is not me. If you notice in all of my videos, I have a different voice every fucking time, pretty much. I mean, some are very loud and chaotic. Some are very to the point. Some are funny. Some people I know have a need for a comedic sense of relief, right? In between this trauma, some people need it straight. Some people need me to sugarcoat it just a little bit. I'm never going to sugarcoat for your comfort as far as to make you validate yourself in a non-truth, but I will sugarcoat it if I know that I'm getting my point across, because that's what Spirit said to do. I do know that some people tend to blame themselves for things, so I'm always very cautious to not make them feel guilty about something that they've done, even if it was something that they've done, because then they will cover their entire situation in shame and they won't see anything. Some people I don't waste my time on. If I know for a fact they're not going to absorb what I'm saying because they're so dead set on just being validated, I simply just won't say it. And, you know, I just know the way to deliver it. I can't quite explain it. I can almost hear what you're saying as I'm saying it. I can hear what you're thinking in the future as I'm recording the video for you. I can kind of tell your angle and why you are maybe searching for a specific answer. But we always think it's one thing, right? But it hardly ever is quite that. I think that's my favorite part about what I do. And at the end of the day, I always, no matter how good I am at what I do, because trust me, I am, I know what I'm saying. I know. And I can even tell you that it's going to take you a little bit of time to come to terms with it. And you need to just process that. And I'm just planting the seed, and you may hate me now, or you may love me now. But at the end of the day, I said what I said. And a lot of women especially want me to like hate on the man, because I really do hate men, but that's based on pattern recognition, guys. That has nothing to do with me having an assumption about anything. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm not carrying over trauma from past shit. I really am telling you that men ain't shit. Like, that's, I mean, 90% true. So I do talk shit about men because they deserve that, because they're awful and they're stupid. That's the truth. But I can also see how that situation might have been not compatible for them, or where they went wrong, or how they could correct it, or if they're willing to correct it. So a lot of women want me to sort of get on their side. It's all about getting on their side, but they're not realizing how in depth I really do see things. I think y'all see a lot of my readings sometimes, and I'm maybe uplifting people who deserve to be uplifted. They are really chosen, and they are really a light worker, and they have been through a lot, and they have not been wrong. And y'all see those readings, and y'all assume I do that with everybody. I really don't. And the people that I have to really, really be honest with, because I can say, wow, you are sadly fucking mistaken about everything that's occurring around you right now. I always kind of feel bad. I always feel a little hesitant to send the reading, but I always send it unedited because that's what it needs to be. And I've been very surprised and impressed, not necessarily surprised, but I've been very impressed at the ones that have accepted that and appreciated that and not taken it personal, because it's just what needed to be said. It's not coming from me. I don't want anybody to think that I'm looking inside your soul and I'm telling you what you need to fix because you're this and that and I'm better than you. And I never want anybody to think that. The truth is, I am severely flawed. I mean, Spirit tells me shit about myself every fucking day, and I have to take it just the way that I expect y'all to take my words. But I always tell people, you know, do not book me unless you are really ready for a soul shattering truth. Some people I do validate because they need to be validated, because I can feel that they've always been right and everyone's always said they were wrong. And that's not true. They were actually right the whole fucking time. They've actually convinced themselves that they were wrong, knowing that they were right. But I need to tell them, no, you have not been wrong one time. And some I just have to say, look, I understand this is from something that happened in your childhood, but the way that you're going about it is absolutely incorrect. And you need to pipe fucking down and sit down and pump the brakes and listen to me, what the fuck I'm telling you. I can see their childhood, I can see their inner child, I can see their higher self, who they have potential to be, but I also have the maturity and understanding to acknowledge that the potential is just something that, you know, we tend to maybe make up in our head. I don't do that. I don't hold them to that standard, but I do see what they could possibly be should they do ABC, and then I can also see if they're willing to do ABC. It is very important to come to terms with it, because I can see if people are going to change. I can see if they're not. I can see their intention behind their actions, and the impact that it has not only on them, but on everyone around them. I can tell what they're running from, if it's them, if it's someone else, if they're never going to be honest in their life, or if they're too honest. I can see it. I can see it. I can see how somebody is technically not right, but the way that they act would appear to be correct. And so they are used to everyone telling them that they're correct. But I'll tell you right now, I may be the only person in the world that sees it. But I see it, and you're not right. I'm not gonna just jump on the groupie train. I'm not gonna just do that. I'm not gonna be your biggest fan and tell you that everything you're doing is right, because you may be doing it for the wrong intentions. I even question myself sometimes, like, are you saying these mean things to make yourself feel better, bro? It's a humbling experience sometimes, because When I'm telling people about themselves, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it's a trait that I've had within myself if I don't still have it within myself. And I have to sit back and say, do you like being mean? Do you like telling them about themselves so you can avoid your inner healing? I mean, as I'm doing y'all's shadow work with y'all, I'm doing my shadow work too. Am I holding myself accountable? Am I delivering this in the way that I genuinely think it needs to be delivered? Am I saying any of my personal opinion in this and not what spirit wants me to say? Am I getting a kick out of this? Do I like being mean to people? The truth is I really don't. I'm actually very sensitive and I don't like being mean, but I have been blessed with the ability to see what I see. And I've really never had anybody tell me that I was wrong. And I know that sometimes their ego gets in the middle of it just a little bit and they're like, well, you're mostly right, but that's not this, it's not that. I know you were gonna say that, and I'll tell you why I said what I said, and then we can clarify and I can confirm that that was correct. I can tell when there's gonna be kickback. I can tell how they're gonna take it, but it still needs to be said, because even if it offends them in the moment, next year or 2 weeks from now or next month, it'll make sense. I planted the seed. That thought will never leave their mind. In a good way. They'll understand what I was talking about. And I understand even when their ego won't allow them to admit that. I get it. I don't take things personal. I'm just the messenger. I learn not to get too overly attached to the outcome. So I said what I said, and you know, I have to even sometimes, like when they're the sweetest thing ever, I have to be honest with them and, hey, you're doing the wrong thing. This is wrong. Why are you here? What are you doing? And I even say, I don't tell them, you need to do this. I say, this is what this would look like. Should you stay? Should you go? Should you continue? Should you backtrack? Should you apologize? Should you not? Should you try again? Should you not? Should you move? Should you not? Should you do this? What? You know, and I hold everybody accountable, and including myself. So if there's ever anything that's in a reading you want to discuss, I'm always willing to, because I like to pull the autistic in me likes to pull shit apart and kind of nitpick it and go over the details. So I never mind that. I never get offended with that. But the end result is usually the same. So I just thought I'd say that. And it's definitely an eye-opening experience, and it helps me learn a lot of different scenarios and archetypes as well, to kind of put in my file of archetypes in my little autistic brain. But yeah, it's an interesting life that I live currently. You couldn't have told me 2 years ago or even last year that this is what I would be doing, but last year is really when I started getting the inkling that this was my calling. And I even have a video that's like, Brooke, this is what you're going to be doing. And even then, the current that current me didn't actually believe it, but it was like my higher self talking to me like, no, you better know that you're getting this feeling for a reason. So I love it. I wouldn't do anything different. And I think a lot of people are shocked to find out that I've been doing this less than a year. But I've stepped into my calling. I'm in alignment with my highest self, and I never try to be anything that I'm not. I'm not some wise guru, healer, nun, monk. I cuss and I fucking yell and I listen to low vibrational music, and I still used to do low vibrational things a lot, and I still probably do currently, you know, and I've never tried to be anything other than just my authentic self. So I hope that you guys can appreciate that, just like I appreciate y'all. And anybody who books with me, I'm very grateful. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for being on this journey with me.